On the evening of April 1st, Shade Robinson was filled with excitement as she had been looking forward to this date with Maxwell Anderson. Unaware of Anderson's true intentions, she had no idea that she was living her last day. The story unfolds in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where 19-year-old Shade Carlina Robinson had recently connected with a 33-year-old man named Maxwell Anderson on Tinder. On April 1st, 2024, a casual first date was set in motion. That morning, Shade left for work around 9 a.m., unaware that the hours ahead would be the last she'd ever live. At 4:15 p.m., she messaged Maxwell to finalize their meeting time and suggested they should meet up at 5 p.m. He replied casually, saying he was just getting out of the shower, and proposed they meet at 5:15 instead. They decided to meet at a local restaurant at 5:20 p.m. The two finally met, smiling and appearing to enjoy each other's company. At around 6:29 p.m., Shade and Maxwell left the restaurant. Their next stop was a downtown bar. The two were seen laughing like any other couple enjoying the night. By 9:24 p.m., they arrived at Anderson's home, slipping through the back gate, not the front, but whether Shade walked in willingly or was already under the influence of something, no one can say for certain. What is known so far is that she entered that house, but she never came out. What happened between 9:24 p.m. and 12:47 a.m. remains a void. No screams, no sounds, no signs of struggle, at least not outside. But inside, some believe Maxwell led her to his basement in his so-called dungeon, where Anderson had apparently dismembered her body into pieces. Then, as the city slept, Anderson had begun the cleanup. At 12:47 a.m., Maxwell was seen to leave his house, carrying the remains of Shade, her clothes, and her phone. Over the next few hours, he drove through Milwaukee, leaving pieces of her remains in rivers, parks, and even near a children's playground. By 7:30 a.m., he torched her car in an alley, but he was caught by the dash cam of a bus, where he is seen walking away from the car engulfed in flames, towards a nearby playground, where he left dismembered foot and unfolded a memorial blanket of her late dog. Around 8:12 a.m., he is seen boarding a bus at an intersection, a couple blocks away from the playground. Maxwell is seen shockingly calm on the bus. By 8:43, he was home again. Until now, only Maxwell knows what happened in that house, but the same day at 7:32 a.m., police received a call from someone walking nearby who spotted a car engulfed in flames in Milwaukee. When officers arrived, they found a 2020 Honda Civic, its interior reduced to ash, but its exterior oddly untouched. A small detail stood out: the registration sticker, still intact, which led them to a name, Shade Carlina Robinson. That same morning, April 2nd, 2024, Shade failed to show up for her shift. Her friend, worried by her absence, went to Shade's home. No one answered the door, and her car was also gone. Her best friend Alana went straight to the police to request a welfare check. She remembered one last detail: a Snapchat from Shade the night before, saying she was at a bar, and then nothing. Meanwhile, she also tracked her through the Life 360 app, following her final movements to Warnemont Park, where her phone had last pinged before going silent. As they searched the park, news broke. A woman's leg had been found on a beach in Cudahy, miles from the torched car. Surveillance footage from nearby schools and buildings showed a car breaching park gates around 2:53 a.m. and a shadowy figure near the shoreline. The mystery was finally unraveling, but the horror was only just beginning. Wednesday, April 3rd, authorities arrived at Shade's home to conduct a welfare check. Up till this point, they have no idea if the leg they found belonged to Shade. Her house was empty, there were no signs of struggle, and Shade was nowhere to be found. Just right then, they received a call about the DNA results, which confirmed the found leg belonged to Shade. Now, they weren't looking for a missing girl anymore. They were recovering a body in pieces. From Shade's phone, investigators discovered the last person she met was Maxwell Anderson. April 4th, 2024, authorities arrested Anderson at a traffic stop just a few blocks from his house and took him into custody and charged him as the suspect. And on the next day, April 5th, the rest of Shade's remains were discovered around multiple locations, one of them being the train tracks, which were a block away from the torched car's location. Fast forward a year later. It's May 27th, 2025, and Anderson's trial began publicly, and with all the given relevant evidence, especially him being seen getting on the bus right after torching Sade's car, the jury found him guilty on all counts, and as of now, Anderson has been sentenced to life behind bars. December 10th, 2023. An American comedian, Tu Shang, was on vacation in Colombia, dancing with a woman he met there, unaware he was stepping into a trap. It all started in Minnesota, where 50-year-old Tu Shang, after his divorce, decides to travel to Medellin, Colombia, a city he called Paradise, where he returned again and again. He once wrote in his Facebook post, "Dear universe, I would like a career change. Please, I want to wake up to a new office like this and work 3 hours from my phone, then call it a day." But poor Shang had no idea that this paradise wasn't so pretty after all. Shang was captivated by the pulsing music, neon lights, and the women who he danced with. But among them, one woman stood out, 19-year-old Colombian woman Sheret Gisela Martinez, who quickly became more than just a fling. For 7 to 8 months, they shared dinners, dances. He even started calling her "my girl" in public posts.
This is Korean food with my girl.
Sharing pictures of their time together. By no doubt, Shang trusted her, maybe a little too much. By October 2023, Shang had returned to the US, but he missed Colombia so much that 6 weeks later, he flew back, unaware of his date's true intentions. On December 3rd, Tu posted a video from a Karol G concert. Sheret was beside him, but she kept turning away, ducking from the camera, as if she didn't want to be seen. It was subtle, but still noticeable. A week later, on December 10th, she messaged him with a simple plan: dinner in Robledo. It was a simple dinner date, but after dinner, Sheret invited him to her apartment. Shang accepted the invitation and followed her, unaware that he was being led to a trap. After arriving around the neighborhood, Shang was greeted by some other men who rushed him inside an apartment, as seen in CCTV footage, holding him as a hostage. Those people were none other than partners of Sheret, whom Shang trusted so blindly. It was a calculated trap set by her. What began as a romantic evening had now spiraled into a nightmare. The kidnappers demanded 8 million Colombian pesos, which is around $2,200. Either he was going to pay the money, or they would not let him go. Under pressure, Shang called his brother and one of his friends, explaining that he is being held at gunpoint and this wasn't a game. His brother and friend somehow managed to transfer the ransom amount directly into the account of Sheret Gisela Martinez, and then everything became silent. No calls, no texts, no answers. The next day, on December 11th, the local authorities were informed that a body had been discovered near a ravine, and it was none other than Tu Shang, even after paying the ransom. The abductors decided to unalive him. Shang was stripped of his belongings, tied up, and tossed from a cliff. As news of his passing broke, the internet buzzed with suspicion, especially on Sheret Gisela Martinez. However, Sheret, on the other hand, was quick to perform her innocence by posting "Rest in Peace" on TikTok. On Facebook, she replied to grieving friends of Shang, but it didn't take long for investigators to figure her intent. Within 5 weeks, it was uncovered that Sheret allegedly was never interested in Tu at all. To her, he was always a target, an older man with money. The kidnapping wasn't spontaneous, it was calculated, but she wasn't working alone. She even had a secret 17-year-old boyfriend, and together they set up a trap which resulted in the tragedy of Tu Shang. On January 18, 2024, Sheret Gisela Martinez was arrested while trying to escape through a window. Alongside her, 3 men were also taken into custody for their involvement in the abduction of Tu Shang. This included 34-year-old Andres, 24-year-old Santiago, and the 17-year-old boy who is not included in this photo. All 4 of these individuals have been sentenced for 28 years. Zalia Shamagolova. In August 2024, Zalia, a 29-year-old university lecturer from Russia, matched with a stranger on Tinder while visiting Mauritius. But this stranger turned her vacation into a nightmare. Zalia wasn't just another tourist. She was a respected academic from Chelyabinsk, Russia. She once carried the Olympic torch in 2014. In August 2024, she arrived in Mauritius. Zelia posted many of her vibrant photos from the trip, and she was scheduled to leave for Madagascar on September 1st, but she never boarded the plane. Instead, her name would soon resurface on a missing persons report. While in Mauritius, Zelia matched with Purya Versing Sundur, a 29-year-old local IT engineer. He seemed kind, educated, familiar with the island's secrets. They texted, and they liked each other's vibe. Therefore, they decided to meet. What was meant to be a casual holiday connection soon turned into a horrifying tragedy. They were seen together sightseeing, smiling, and then a blurry video frame of Zelia in a flowing white and blue dress stepping into a blue Toyota which belonged to Purya Versing. From that moment on, she vanished without a sound. When Zelia didn't return that night, worry turned into fear. Her female travel companion sensed something was wrong. Zelia was never one to vanish without a word. She reported her missing, hoping it was all a misunderstanding. But then, her family in Russia began receiving weird messages from Zelia's phone that she had decided to disappear and not to contact her. The words were vague and mechanical. Lacking Zelia's personality, they felt wrong. Authorities now believe those messages weren't from Zelia at all, but from the man who disappeared her in an attempt to buy time so they won't look for her. But then, news breaks. Police found the CCTV footage of Zelia getting into a vehicle and located Sundur and inspected his vehicle. From the interior of the car, red stains were discovered, and when confronted about the stains, Sundur broke down and started confessing. He led the police to a shallow grave in the quiet residential area of La Marie. Buried inside it was Zelia. I can't talk about the details of what he did to her because of YouTube's guidelines, but Sundur allegedly told police he was deeply in love with Zelia and had planned to marry her. However, in a sudden rage, he did all this to her. The exact trigger remains unclear, but the brutality of the act is just disturbing. He still remains in custody after confessing. Justy Stillwell. The story takes us to Bay City, Michigan, USA, where Justy Thomas Stillwell, 41-year-old man, works as a custodian at a middle school. Justy was kind and liked by people around him, but one day, Justy turned to Grindr, an online dating app where he meets Robert Tweedley Jr. According to Tweedley's later confession, their digital connection had stretched on for months before they decided to meet in person on September 14th, 2024. Late that afternoon, Justy quietly left his home to visit Robert, who lived just a few blocks away, unaware that this short walk would lead to his final moments. When Justy arrived at Robert's location, he felt uneasy as something was off. He could see that Robert was extremely high and not in his right senses. Realizing this, Justy decided to leave Robert's house, and that's when Robert claimed he snapped and threw Justy down his basement stairs, where he allegedly unalived him. Robert tried dragging Justy's lifeless body up the basement stairs, but it was too heavy for him. Being frustrated, he took Justy's wallet, stole $40 from it, took his car keys, and waited for the night. Then he walked to Justy's home, took his car, and drove to Walmart, where he bought a rope, hoping to move the body like cargo, but the body wouldn't budge. The next morning, he returned, this time to purchase an axe and trash bags. He used the axe to dismember the body and dumped some remains in the Saginaw River, while others were left in a lonely wooded patch, and Justy's car was left abandoned in a park. Later, Robert lit a fire in his backyard, burning stained clothes, a mop, Justy's belongings, and the axe, trying to erase all the evidence. September 18th, 2024, Justy Stillwell, a man who never missed a day, doesn't show up for work. His absence causes distress among his family, therefore they report him missing before night. But on that same day, a 16-year-old girl walking with her grandfather near the Saginaw River stumbles upon something disturbing, a severed foot lying in the open. Her grandfather laughs nervously, brushing it off as a Halloween prank, but that was not a decoration. Police arrived and scoured the rivers, finding more dismembered limbs. On September 19th, through fingerprint analysis, it was confirmed those belonged to Justy Stillwell. A friend of Justy Stillwell came forward with a clue, whom Justy had recently told about meeting someone through Grindr. The friend had kept a screenshot of the suspect's profile, and police ran the image through facial recognition software, and it was matched to Robert Tweedley Jr. On September 25th, 2024, authorities executed a search at Robert's home, and everything started to unravel. In the backyard, there were burned clothes and an axe. Investigators recovered physical traces that led them to the exact wooded site where Justy's remains had been dumped. By digging, authorities also spotted Robert on camera while he was buying an axe and rope on September 14th. After such evidence, the authorities arrested Robert. As of now, Robert remains in custody at the Bay County Jail. He has pleaded not guilty and is being held on a $1 million bond. Dushyant Sharma. On the night of May 2nd, 2018, in India, a 28-year-old dude, using a fake name, met a woman at her apartment after months of texting online on Tinder. But the moment he stepped into her apartment, he had never expected what was about to happen. Dushyant Sharma was a married guy who had been living a double life online. He was Vivan Kohli, a fake millionaire persona crafted for Tinder. And through that persona, he met Priya Seth, a woman with a sinister agenda. It was the night of May 2nd when 28-year-old Dushyant left his home, rushing out with the vague words, "I have some work," and went over to Priya's apartment. What he found instead were two giant dudes standing beside Priya. First, he thought they were intruders, but it didn't take long to realize he wasn't meeting a date, he was walking into a trap. He had been lured, kidnapped, and was now being held hostage for the ransom of $10,000. When he called his father, he was terrified and pleading for his life. That's when Priya snatched the phone, stating, "Involve the police, and it'll be the last thing you ever do." But Dushyant's father stated that he could only manage $3,000 at that time, and that's when Dushyant confessed that he wasn't a millionaire, nor his name was Vivan Kohli. He was just an ordinary dude with a normal job. However, this caused a panic for the kidnappers, as he wasn't just useless to them now, he was also a liability. He had seen their faces. He knew too much about them. They just couldn't let him walk away. They stuffed him into a suitcase and dumped him into the remote hills. Dushyant's phone led police to Priya Seth on Tinder, and within 48 hours, police arrested Priya Seth and her two partners. The creepiest thing about this case was that the woman was proud about luring men like this. She also stated that she was doing the world a favor by scamming these men. In her whole interview, she didn't show a hint of remorse for what she had done. In the Dushyant case, all three individuals were found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment in November 2023. But these cases have sparked new concerns for me about the lack of safety, especially when you are meeting someone who you truly don't know.